Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here, and in this video we're going to compare two smartphones in the sub 15k price segment. We have the Vivo U20 which was released recently for a price starting 10,999, and this comes with quite good hardware for the price segment, and we're going to compare this with one of the best selling smartphones in 2019 in India, the Redmi Note 7 Pro. So both the devices have a quite good hardware. We have now the Redmi Note 7 Pro selling for almost 10,999 for the 464GB storage variant on sale. So both the devices are priced 10,999. Both have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 675 chipset. Both have good camera setup. Both have large capacity batteries. So which is the better device to buy? So that's what we are going to analyze in this video. So let's get started. First step, let's have a look at the design and build quality. Now if you look at the back panel design, you can see that both are good looking smartphones out there, but our personal choice would be the Vivo U20 for the simple fact that this has a curved finishing on the back panel, which gives a good in-hand feel altogether, and this chrome accents around the camera unit, which definitely gives a better overall feel. Now the Redmi Note 7 Pro is also a good looking smartphone out there with a flat back panel. It may not be the best device to hold for a longer period, but still gives it a good feel because it's a pretty compact device when compared to the slightly bulkier Vivo U20. Now moving on to the build quality, this is one area where the Redmi Note 7 Pro takes the lead with glass finishing. So we have a back panel finished with glass, while we have a polycarbonate material on the Vivo U20. Now both the materials have their own advantage. Polycarbonate does not break, so it's more durable, but at the same time, if you don't use a case, it is prone to scratches. Even in a limited period of usage, you can see some minor scratches happening on the back panel. That's one of the disadvantages of the polycarbonate material. While on the other hand, the Redmi Note 7 Pro with glass finishing looks great. It feels more premium than the Vivo U20, but the disadvantage of the glass finishing is that it is more prone to breakages if it falls down from your hand. So that's the design and build quality. So overall we feel it's up to you to decide which device looks better. Both the devices have quite good looking designs in the back panel. Now if you look at the front panel or the display, that's where there is a difference. You can see that the bezels on the Vivo U20 is lesser than the bezels on the Redmi Note 7 Pro. So again, in that aspect, the Vivo U20 has an advantage because of the slightly smaller bezels. Now talking about the display, so we have a 6.3 inches Full HD plus resolution display on the Redmi Note 7 Pro. This is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass, so that's one of the good aspects about the display on the Redmi Note 7 Pro. Now we have the Vivo U20 again with a 6.53 inches Full HD plus resolution display. This is protected by Panda Glass. So now both the devices have pretty good displays. Both are IPS LCD panels. So here we would say nothing much to decide. Both are pretty good solid displays offering good viewing angles, good color reproduction, and for the price segment, both the displays do justice. Now both the devices also have protection on the display. Now next, let's move on to the software. Now both the devices have Android 9 Pie out of the box. So we have the FunTouch OS on the Vivo's U20. So FunTouch OS offers a plethora of options and modes. So we have seen this on all the Vivo smartphones. So if you have used the Vivo smartphone, you might be already familiar with this UI. It's a bit confusing if you are a first time user. You have to swipe from the bottom to access the control center, and it's not the regular kind of Android implementation. So you might need some time getting used to this UI. But on the other hand, the MIUI on the Redmi Note 7 Pro is the MIUI 11, the latest version of MIUI, and this is more refined UI when compared to the Vivo's FunTouch OS, and it feels a bit more better in terms of usage as well. But the disappointing aspect with the MIUI 11 on the Redmi Note 7 Pro is that it has ads. So you have to live with ads. If that is not your kind of experience, you might have to choose the Vivo's FunTouch OS. But in terms of software experience, we feel the MIUI 11 offers better experience overall. Next, moving on to the performance. So we have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 675 chipset on both the phones. Both have the 4GB RAM being offered at the same pricing. Now in terms of the performance aspect, both are equally good. When talking about the gaming experience, the Vivo U20 will have an advantage because of two reasons. One is a larger display and also larger capacity battery. That should help in slightly better gaming experience. But otherwise, the day-to-day performance seems similar on both the devices with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 675 chipset. Now the advantage advantage with Vivo U20 is that it has UFS 2.1 support, while that is missing on the Redmi Note 7 Pro. So that makes the app loading time faster, and also the app performance is slightly better here because of the UFS 2.1 support. Now both the devices have a rear mounted fingerprint scanner, so nothing much to decide here. Both does a pretty good job. Again, face unlock was faster on the Vivo U20. Now call quality and speaker performance feels quite similar on both the phones, so not much of a difference here in terms of the experience. Now moving on to the camera. So this is one important aspect. Now if you look at the Redmi Note 7 Pro, it came with the 48 megapixel Sony IMX586 sensor, one of the first smartphones to feature this sensor below the 20k price segment. It also has an additional depth sensor and a 13 megapixel selfie camera. Now if you look at the Vivo U20, it has a triple camera setup with 16 megapixel primary camera, 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, 2 megapixel depth sensor, and also a selfie camera. Now if you look at the camera hardware, the Vivo U20 definitely has an advantage because of the ultra wide angle camera as well as the macro lens is included. Now if you look at the daylight shots, here we can say that both are extremely good and capable camera smartphones. You can see that there is hardly anything to decide based on whatever we have taken. Both are equally good. The colors were a bit more punchier or vivid, or you can say that slightly saturated, especially in terms of sky performance on the Redmi Note 7 Pro. But both did a really good job in terms of the camera performance in daylight conditions. Now additionally, you get the ultra wide angle camera as well as the macro camera on the Vivo U20 that's missing on the Redmi Note 7 Pro. Now when it comes to low light performance, that's where the Sony's IMX586 sensor does show its capabilities. This is Sony's IMX499 sensor, which is again a good sensor, but 586 does exceptionally well in terms of the low light experience, and that's where the Redmi Note 7 Pro has the lead. Now both have pretty good selfie experience as well. So in terms of the camera experience, it's difficult to say one is better than the other. If you're going for more of low light experience, or you want a really good camera experience but don't want the macro or the ultra wide angle camera, then a pretty good experience you get with the Redmi Note 7 Pro. But if you want an all-round experience and not really particular about one condition like the low light or the daylight, then an all-round camera would be the Vivo U20. So that's the camera experience. Now finally, the battery life. So we have a 4000 mAh capacity battery on the Redmi Note 7 Pro, while we have a 5000 mAh capacity battery on the Vivo U20. So there is an advantage for Vivo U20. Both have the support for 18 watt fast charger, and the Vivo U20 also comes with a 18 watt fast charger out of the box. Now in terms of battery performance, the obvious choice is the Vivo U20 because of the additional capacity battery. Now we have compared all the aspects of these two devices. So which is the better device to buy here? It's a really tough job deciding which is better here. So if your priority is battery and great performance and together with a good camera experience, the Vivo U20 would probably be a slightly better choice. A couple of things, because it may not have the best camera out there, because the Redmi Note 7 Pro has a really good camera. But the advantage with the Vivo U20 is that it has UFS 2.1, larger capacity battery, 18 watt fast charger, then performance is really good, cameras are pretty much good. So there is hardly anything to complain except the fact that it has USB, micro USB charging. So that's the downside, major downside we would say. Otherwise, this is quite a good package with dedicated SD card slot as well included. So it's a pretty good package, I would say. Now if you talk about the Redmi Note 7 Pro, it is again a good package, but it's slightly older device. It's almost like 8 months old device now, almost 8 to 9 months old. And this is kind of device which did not have that kind of camera setup, because it's just a dual camera setup. Now we have triple and quad cameras, so in that aspect this is lagging behind in terms of the ultra wide angle camera and also the macro lens. And the battery capacity is also slightly lesser, even though it has a 4000 capacity, it's slightly lesser than the Vivo U20. Now the good thing about the Redmi Note 7 Pro is that it has a really good premium looking design, build quality, as well as there is Gorilla Glass support, and the displays are good. The software experience, something which is pretty good. The MIUI experience, the MIUI 11 is a bit more smoother than the Vivo's Fun Touch OS. So that's where the Redmi Note 7 Pro has advantage. But overall, if you look at these aspects, we feel the Vivo's U20 is slightly ahead in terms of a lot of aspects, including the larger display, larger capacity battery, but it's also a bulky device. So you have to set your priorities on which is more important to you, and based on that you can decide one of these two devices. So that's the detailed comparison of the Vivo U20 with the Redmi Note 7 Pro. So hope you enjoyed watching this video. Do hit that like button and also hit the red subscribe button for more videos. This is Vimal signing off. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.